It was just another day in the sprawling metropolis of New York, fast-moving, loud, and full of people who never looked up from their phones. Rain tapped softly against the windows of the M38 crosstown bus as it jerked forward, the kind of late spring drizzle that blurred out the skyline, but did nothing to cool the city's nerves. No one noticed the boy who stepped on at 34th and Lexington, 15, maybe 16 years old, with a hoodie too big for him and earbuds dangling from his pocket. His name was KJ, and like most teenagers riding public transit alone, he kept his head down, eyes focused on the dirty rubber floor. The bus was packed, standing room only, the kind of ride where you clutched the overhead bar and prayed the driver didn't hit a pothole. KJ could have stayed standing like everyone else, but he had quick eyes and caught a seat near the back open up as a businessman exited. He slid into it without a word, dropped his bag between his feet, and pulled his hood up just enough to block out the world. He noticed her as soon as she stepped on. She was older than him, mid-30s maybe, with pale skin, red hair tied back in a bun, and hands clutching a worn leather tote. But it wasn't her appearance that caught his attention. It was the way she carried herself. Tired, like gravity pulled harder on her than anyone else on the bus. Her coat was soaked near the hem, and she kept one arm protectively across her belly, pregnant. At least 7 months, maybe more. Nobody moved. People glanced, sure. A few furrowed brows. A couple shifted their weight to pretend they hadn't seen her, but no one offered their seat. KJ hesitated. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He wasn't trying to get noticed. He just remembered his grandmother's voice, the way she'd speak to him like she wasn't asking. If someone needs it more than you give it up, period. So he stood, tapped her lightly on the elbow. "Ma'am," he said, his voice cracking a little from nerves. "You can sit here." She looked surprised, really surprised, but not in a bad way. Her lips twitched into a grateful smile and she nodded. "Thank you. That's very kind." KJ just shrugged and moved back to the rail. Nothing heroic, just manners, just being decent. But the moment she sat down, something shifted. Not in the way people usually tell stories like this, with poetic metaphors and glowing lights and destiny floating in the air. No, this was different, subtle, like a small pebble, dropped into a pond, and the ripples would take time to reach the shore. She didn't just say thank you again and move on. She reached into her bag, fingers shaking slightly, and pulled out a small envelope. It was sealed with a strange symbol, almost like a circuit wrapped around a tree, etched into the paper in a faint metallic shimmer. KJ stared at it, confused, as she held it out to him. "This is for you," she said softly, almost like she didn't want anyone else to hear. He blinked. What? Please. Just open it when you're alone." Then she looked away, just like that, as if it were nothing, as if that wasn't the kind of moment that could change the course of someone's entire life. KJ stuffed it into his hoodie pocket without thinking, the bus lurching to a stop at the next light. He didn't know her name. She didn't ask for his. They didn't speak again, but he kept feeling the weight of that envelope like it was made of lead instead of paper. He got off 5 stops later, near the high school basketball court where he usually hung out with his friend Trey after classes. But today, Trey wasn't there. The courts were empty, slick with rain. And KJ, well, he couldn't shake the feeling that the world had tilted, just slightly, since he gave up that seat. He ducked into a bodega for cover, bought a soda with the change in his pocket, and sat on a milk crate near the alley out back. His fingers trembled slightly as he pulled the envelope from his hoodie. The paper felt weird. Not old exactly, but not normal. Thicker. And warm somehow, like it had been sitting in sunlight even though it hadn't left his pocket. He opened. There was no letter inside. No message. Just a single black card, smooth and matte, with tiny glowing lines running across it like veins. As he held it up, a faint pulse moved through the card, almost like it was alive. Then he heard the voice, not in his head. Not from the card, but behind him. "You weren't supposed to get that," the man said, and KJ spun around fast. A tall figure stood at the alley entrance. Gray coat, No umbrella. Rain pouring off his shoulders like he didn't feel it. Eyes sharp, almost too sharp, like he could see things most people couldn't. "Give me the card," the man said. Calm, controlled, deadly. KJ's heart slammed against his chest. I didn't even read it." "You don't have to," the man said. "It's not for you, it never was." But just then something strange happened. The card in KJ's hand flared to life. Symbols danced across its surface, faster than his eyes could follow. A faint hum rose in the air around him, almost like a distant engine warming up. The man cursed under his breath. "No, not now. Not this soon." KJ took a step back. "What the hell is this?" The man moved toward him, and suddenly the air ripped, and the world around KJ cracked like glass. He didn't fall. He didn't fly. He shifted. 1 second he was in a rain-soaked alley in Harlem. The next he was somewhere else entirely. Stars stretched around him closer than they should be. A massive station hung in orbit above a blue and white planet that wasn't Earth. Ships passed overhead, smooth, silent, and impossible. And far in the distance, glowing like a lighthouse in the dark, was Earth. But not the Earth anyone knew. No one had known Earth had FTL. No one in the galaxy had even considered it. Earth wasn't on the maps. It wasn't in the treaties. It wasn't supposed to matter. But something had changed. And KJ, a black teenager who'd just offered his seat to a pregnant woman on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, was now holding the key to secrets buried so deep. They'd been hidden not just from humanity, but from the rest of the universe. He clutched the card tighter, feeling heat build in his palm. Back in the alley, where time was moving slower, or maybe not at all, the man in the gray coat watched, the empty space where KJ had stood just moments ago. He took out a comm device and pressed it to his ear. "They activated the protocol," he said grimly. "The Earth gate is open." On the other end, a voice crackled through, female, cold, and full of dread. "Then it's already too late." And somewhere, drifting in the cold silence between stars, Earth began to move. Not just forward in time, but forward in power. And no one, not a single species out there, had any idea that the humans were coming. Fast, with vengeance, and a teenager no one saw coming, at the center of it all. "Would you like me to continue the next chapter from here?" The cold hit him first. Not the kind of cold that came from weather or wind, but something deeper, something ancient. KJ stumbled forward, his sneakers skidding on a smooth metallic floor that hummed beneath him like it was alive. The stars, outside the massive windows, blinked unnaturally. Too close, too sharp, like someone had taken a knife to the sky and cut the dark wide open. He was inside some kind of chamber, round walls lined with glowing panels, curved doors sealed shut, with no visible handles. A low thrum pulsed in the background, almost like a heartbeat. Mechanical, precise, not human. He turned in slow circles, trying to get his bearings. The card still pulsed in his hand, lines of light now forming patterns, shifting maps maybe, coordinates. He didn't understand any of it, but the moment he tried to drop the card, it clung to his palm like a magnet to metal. The more he panicked, the warmer it got, like it was sinking with him. "Okay. This is not real," he whispered to himself, his voice cracking in the empty chamber. "This is some VR prank or something, some next-level trick." He smacked his chest like he was trying to wake up, but everything around him stayed sharp. Real. He walked toward the windows. They curved outward like he was inside the top of a huge tower or maybe a ship. Below, if below even made sense out here, he saw the planet, Earth, still recognizable, still home. But there was something wrong with it. Something off. Cloud. Formations weren't moving. The continents were sharper, greener, like someone had wiped pollution off the entire atmosphere. And wrapped around it, barely visible, were faint lines, like hexagonal barriers flickering in and out. A shield? A dome? Something far beyond what humans had ever built, at least on paper. Then, out of the corner of his eye, movement. KJ spun fast, heart in his throat, but it was just a reflection. No, not a reflection. A projection. A woman stepped out of the wall like it was water. She wasn't real, not exactly. More like a hologram, flickering in and out. Her hair was pulled back in tight braids, eyes a deep brown, that seemed to watch everything at once. Her voice echoed slightly as she spoke, but it wasn't robotic. It was calm, measured. Cameron James Wallace, born 2109, Brooklyn Sector. Civil ID 332 Lima Bravo. KJ blinked. How do you know my name? She tilted her head, the way teachers did when they were disappointed but not mad. You activated the ARC key. It bound to you. That means you're in the system now. System? What system? His voice was rising, fear creeping in despite how hard he tried to stay calm. The woman didn't answer that. She stepped forward, though she had no body to move, and reached toward the card still locked to his palm. The room shifted. Screens blinked to life, images flashing across them too fast to process. Ships, maps, stars, FTL drive diagrams, and something else, something that sent chills through his chest. Earth, splitting, not like exploding, but unfolding, like it was hiding something inside. 200 years ago, she said slowly, Earth made a choice. The world governments, what was left of them, agreed to the displacement pact. Humanity would hide its true advancements, seal its fastest technologies, and mask its global progress. KJ swallowed hard. Why would we do that? To protect ourselves, she said, simply. From the Council, from the Galactic Core, from the others who would have enslaved, mined, or erased us. He took a step back. You're saying aliens are real? She nodded. And they've been watching Earth for centuries, but they never suspected Earth had FTL. They believed your world was primitive, unconnected, because we let them believe. KJ's mind was spinning. This couldn't be real, it just couldn't. FTL tech faster than light travel, that was science fiction. Earth hiding in plain sight? No way. He was just a kid from Brooklyn. He didn't even like physics, but the projections didn't lie. They showed blueprints for engines that warped space-time, maps of human colonies light years away under code names, and a list of names, long, hidden, people who knew the truth. Then the images stopped. Just one word on the screen now. Intrusion detected. The room lights flickered. Alarms, silent somehow, blared. In red across the panels, the woman's image froze. KJ stepped back toward the center of the chamber. What's happening? The woman's voice returned, glitchy now, skipping like bad audio. They followed the signal. They found you. Then everything went black. A hiss sounded from the wall behind him. Not a normal hiss. Pressurized. Sharp. A seam opened up and revealed a passage, dark, pulsing with dim red lights. And then a sound KJ would never forget. Boots, heavy ones, marching in rhythm. He didn't wait to see who they belonged to. He ran, sprinting down the curved hallway, his breaths echoing in his own ears. Doors sealed behind him as he passed, like the place was helping him escape. But no matter how fast he moved, he could still hear the voices behind him. They weren't. Human one barked something in a language that felt more like static than sound. Another laughed, a deep, gravelly sound like a growl under a smile. He rounded a corner and skidded to a stop. Another chamber. This one smaller, round. A platform at the center and a large chair made of silver metal that shimmered like water. Something told him to sit. He didn't know why. He sat. The moment he did, the card in his hand glowed white-hot and sank into the chair. Energy surged through the room. Lights burst to life. A dome overhead split open, revealing the vast starscape above. And KJ's voice caught in his throat as the system spoke. Genelok confirmed. Welcome, Arc Pilot. From the corridor behind him, the bootsteps stopped, and one of the not-human voices spoke in perfect English.